I don't know if you're interested or not, but there's one of Hollywood's biggest agents here, and he'd like to talk to you. Would you be interested?"
I would rather die than stand in the same frame with them one more time.
"You could, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I gave him my phone number and forgot about it. About 2 weeks later, I get a call, and he had set up an interview with Henry Wilcoxon."
That sentence, taken from an audio recording leaked many years after Clint Walker passed away, left all of Hollywood stunned. A man known for being calm, gentle, and almost never confrontational, suddenly uttered a curse so bitter and harsh. If it was not a momentary outburst, then it could only have been the crystallization of resentment suppressed over an entire lifetime. Clint not only left behind a list of people he called traitors, but also revealed stories the public had never known. Someone, driven by appearance fees, deliberately spread false rumors that cost him a role at the very last minute. Someone else, because of misunderstandings surrounding Clint's ex-wife, rushed at him and started a physical clash right in the studio hallway. And there was even a person who humiliated him openly at an award ceremony, then turned a dancer at the Shadow Room nightclub into the center of a bitter struggle. So, in the end, what did Clint Walker see? What did he hear? That only at the end of his life did he dare to speak out. And why were those names never allowed to appear publicly? 1. Lee Marvin, tensions over a real slap scene and his connection with journalist Gloria Hale. Many years after stepping away from Hollywood, Clint Walker once admitted that some relationships do not fall apart because of long-standing hostility, but simply because of a decision made in a matter of seconds. For him, the story with Lee Marvin was the clearest example, and it began on a day no one on the film crew imagined would become the breaking point for both men. It was the morning of March 29, 1966, at a temporary military set in Santa Clarita, north of Los Angeles. The outdoor temperature that day was recorded at nearly 32 degrees Celsius. The crew of the Dirty Dozen was entering its final shooting days before moving on to a new schedule. According to the original plan approved by MGM, this was only a short transitional scene filmed in under 2 hours, with an estimated cost of about $18,000 for the entire morning. It was at this moment that Lee Marvin proposed a change in performance. He wanted a slap in the scene to be done for real, with no simulated movement and no technical staging. Clint Walker remembered very clearly how he felt when he heard that suggestion. Not because he feared pain, but because it crossed a working principle he had upheld throughout his career. The scene was not in the original script, had not been discussed in the action meeting, and had no confirmation from the stunt coordinator. Walker refused immediately, firmly and without raising his voice. He made it clear that any physical contact had to be agreed upon in advance. It was a short answer, but enough to make the atmosphere on set noticeably heavy. Marvin did not react directly and did not argue. Yet everyone present could sense his attitude change almost instantly. According to internal records later revealed by an MGM production assistant to Variety, filming was halted for nearly 55 minutes. The day's schedule had to be completely rearranged, leading to additional costs estimated at over $42,000, including crew holding fees, lighting equipment, and set rental. This figure was never officially announced, but it appeared in the final budget report sent to MGM executives in May 1966. Clint Walker did not argue further and offered no additional explanation. He completed the rest of his work that day and left the set on time, as usual. However, by his own account, from that day on, all backstage arrangements changed. Walker's and Marvin's shooting schedules rarely overlapped. Shared scenes were broken down or filmed with camera angles that limited direct interaction. This was something audiences never noticed, but producers clearly understood. Walker once thought everything would end when filming wrapped in early summer 1966, but the tension did not stay confined to the set. On the evening of September 18, 1966, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, MGM hosted a large promotional party following the film's release. The event was attended by many actors, producers, and local media. Among the journalists present was Gloria Hale, a familiar film writer for the Los Angeles Times and a frequent face on KTLA's weekend film commentary program. Walker already knew Gloria from previous interviews. That evening, they spoke at length about audience reactions and box office performance during the opening week. As Walker later recalled, nothing crossed professional boundaries. But at a crowded party, glances and attention alone can sometimes be enough to spark discomfort. Throughout the evening, Lee Marvin was said to have made unflattering remarks about Walker to several guests, implying that Walker received more favor from the studio than his actual contribution warranted. These comments were not spoken openly before the crowd, but they spread quietly within the small circle of journalists and producers present. A few days later, Gloria Hale called Walker and told him what she had heard. That was the moment Walker realized the matter had gone beyond work. He did not attempt to counter it, nor did he reach out to clarify anything. Instead, Walker chose to completely cut off all personal contact with Marvin. The consequences of that decision were not small. In the years that followed, although both men appeared at many major industry events, from award ceremonies to premieres, they were never photographed together nor mentioned each other to the press. Some producers at the time admitted that Walker gradually lost his image as easy to arrange in the eyes of major studios, which may have affected several collaboration opportunities worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in the late 1960s. Clint Walker accepted that price. He once said that some boundaries cannot be compromised, even if it means sacrificing career convenience. What he did not expect was that before this relationship had time to fade, another tension was quietly forming behind the scenes, this time involving someone Walker had once believed to be more like-minded than anyone else on the film. 2. Charles Bronson, competition over the Buckknife endorsement contract. Clint Walker once said that he began to feel wary of Charles Bronson not because of a major argument, but because of the way Bronson looked at him during a smoke-filled action shoot. That look, as Walker remembered, was not a challenge, but an evaluation, as if weighing who truly controlled the atmosphere on set. On March 12, 1966, the Dirty Dozen crew entered one of the most dangerous scenes of the entire project. The location was a temporary explosion set in Canoga Park, in the northwest outskirts of Los Angeles. The scene required a fake wall to explode using small charges, combined with thick smoke and rapid movement in a narrow corridor, with at least 4 principal actors appearing on screen at the same time. According to MGM production files, the scene was classified as high risk, requiring standby stunt performers and safety staff on site throughout filming. The cost for this scene alone exceeded $60,000, not including additional insurance coverage the studio had to purchase that week. Charles Bronson, known in the industry for preferring to perform difficult action himself, expressed a desire to jump over the wall immediately after the explosion. For Walker, this suggestion raised immediate concern. He had witnessed at least 2 serious on-set incidents during his earlier work on the television series Cheyenne, one of which forced a stunt performer to stop working for more than 6 months. Walker insisted on following studio safety procedures and using a stunt double. There was no shouting or major argument, but according to a later account by an assistant director, the tone between the two became tense enough that director Robert Aldrich ordered a stop. The interruption lasted nearly 40 minutes, throwing the day's schedule into complete disorder. Bronson believed Walker was slowing everything down and hurting the crew's momentum. Walker held his ground, emphasizing that no scene was worth unnecessary risk. In the end, the scene was postponed to the following morning, resulting in additional costs of approximately $25